Okay, let's continue. Grab our stylus and let's somewhat finish the legs. Now, what we have to do is give him, I don't know what these are called actually. Shoes. Sorry, not a native English speaker, but basically finish up with the paws. But let's actually sketch out how they should look, where they should connect. I'm taking full liberty on this, just to get an interesting result. Okay. Well, nothing special at the moment, but let's see what we're going to get. Let's go click build up. All I'm thinking is like making this kind of a hard surfacey texture, where we won't actually have to worry about the skin and this attaching together. I believe it's just going to be a much more interesting visual to actually look at. I'm also thinking about the effect I'm going to put on the model, maybe fiery glows, maybe he's a water demon. Well, at the start when I started thinking about making him, I was originally thinking that his initial habitat would be water, just because of his subtle looks in terms of design, humane, and when I look at his face for some reason, I think of water. If that makes any sense. Maybe get some blue glows all around. But I just don't want to make it too typical. Okay, let's take care of this. future, I think I'll need to make this a separate geometry just to get it cleaner. But for now, let's just leave it as is. Just before we would apologize. Let's give it a bony look. And let's give an impression that it's building up towards these muscles. And let's give another muscle here. Just indicate it. Let's isolate this. It's gonna be much easier. Well, I'm not happy with the back side of these because it feels like it doesn't actually fit with the flow. So let's make more shapes to those. Maybe a little bit bent in, which is not a problem really. Makes it look more natural rather than just straight lines. And what I am looking at right now is the silhouette itself. Maybe pull this muscle out here, pull this in. And let's put an imaginary bone in there. Let's get a standard brush. I believe I did add the alpha and sub to it. And let's just cut from the bony protrusion down just to get a more interesting results. Okay, I think they look satisfying enough. Well, of course, some of these things on the legs I did make up. Some of those I did look up on the reference. And some of, basically, it's all about making it look functional, making it look pretty, and especially when you're working on something like this. I mean, depending on the project you actually have. If you have a concept, follow the concept. If you don't, and you have to make something up, I mean, it's always good to take artistic liberties, especially if you're doing an unrealistic creature. But in some cases, you may require to have a realistic working anatomy. I don't know if you've actually seen in movies, well, basically creature renders, when they move around, their muscles are exactly like human muscles, exactly like animal muscles. This is actually done not to lose a lot of time and already use what working rigs they have, so they can make the muscles move under the skin and get the proper deformations. So if, for example, your studio is using a proper rig, let's say for this kind of a creature, and they have normal anatomy on it, if you sculpt over some sort of unrealistic details over them, and basically when the muscles under it are going to start moving, you're not going to get the proper deformations. So it always depends on what you're doing. Now in this case, I'm thinking more of a game character, so we should be fine. especially in these places, not a lot of deformation actually happens. So we could have gotten away with just smooth shapes and basically, or we could have always sculpted exactly like in the anatomy books, but not a lot of fun at the moment. We can always mix and match. Now I'm moving it slightly and giving it a little bit of more interesting silhouette. And again, if you already have a predefined base mesh in the rig, you wouldn't be able to do this without confirming with the animation team, the rigging team. You would have to ask for permission to do these kind of things. Unless the character is very unique and you have a unique rig for him personally, you would have to ask. Now I'm very tempted to add the skin details in, add this, add that, but first let's finish up with the hands, shape up the body, and also the face. Then we'll figure out what we're doing with the horns, and we will start topologizing and adding accessories. After we have the base meshes for the accessories in, we're actually going to move on and detail everything else so we can focus on the accessories themselves. Then we'll do a small presentation render, and we have our high poly up and running. In the next series of tutorials, I'll actually do how to move this guy into a game engine with fully baked textures, normal maps, paint him, this and that, and we may even do a rigging with basically in a collaboration, or well, basically that's quite in the future, so let's see what happens.